Planet 2000 is a brand new arena-based vehicle combat game with two teams pitted against one another. But is this simplistic premise enough to get your money, or is it just another one of those games that you should be ignoring? In Planet 2000, you're playing as a group of Alliance members who are trying to take over territories on a planet against an evil enemy force. Basically, each map is broken up into two teams of red versus blue, with each of them having a base. Whoever destroys the other's base first is the winner. Most maps in the game consist of a 2 versus 2 scenario, with you and a computer ally versus two computer opponents. There are two different styles of AI, basically, for these opponents and allies, with one being set to kind of guard the base, bring back the shield, and attack the enemy base from afar using missiles set up at bases, where the other one has a more offensive approach, going and trying to attack the nearest base and taking it over for your side. While early on you don't get a choice of who you end up bringing along for each of the battle, as the game progresses you will get to choose which of the allies that you do want to bring along, and each one is going to provide a different strategy, and some maps are going to require one over the other, at least from my experience, where there was sometimes it just wasn't able to get the job done with one AI, but switching it up and then I was able to achieve victory. The game's main campaign is broken up into 20 different missions. There's a small variety of different maps and different styles of terrain that you'll be seeing, and each map does provide a few different challenges in the way that it ends up being laid out, but it really isn't that much as far as depth goes to each of the maps. There's a couple of different styles of vehicles that you'll be able to use, including ones that are a bit faster, and then a little bit slower ones that end up having shields instead of turbo boost. Depending upon which situation you may be in, may decide which of the vehicles you choose, and you can switch out which one you're playing as after each death. The main strategy comes on each map from taking the smaller bases. Basically, you have your main hub base with its shield generator next to it, and then you'll have all these other bases that you can take on the map. Whoever ends up getting to it first will start to establish it. When you're establishing it, slowly, turrets will start to be built on it in the four corners of that particular base. Once you've built all four turrets and taken that base completely, it will actually start to produce drones, which will help you in order to defend, or you can send them on the attack to take out the enemy. If for any reason you end up losing one of your turrets from the enemy drones or the main enemy themselves, you will have to repair in order for drones to start being made again. So a lot of your strategy and a lot of the game takes place trying to take each one of these bases, sometimes the same base over and over again, as you go back and forth between you and your opponent. Scattered along the maps are plenty of item drops that you'll be able to pick up, which will replenish your missile supply, your health, your turbo, which is basically the turbo speed, or the shield, depending upon what vehicle you end up being in. And you can also get cubed versions of this, which end up replenishing all the weapons or all the health for everyone on your team if you're able to find them. One of the biggest gripes when it comes to the combat in the game, though, is that some maps are just so big, it takes forever to traverse them. You're starting off at your home base, and once you're in the middle of battle and you've gotten far into the map and starting all the way back, it takes a bit in order for you to get back to wherever the action actually is. There's a lot of times I was just driving in the game more so than anything else. There are a few maps that have warps, which will take you to strategic locations on the map itself, but even then, they're not going to take you the entire length of the map. One thing that I thought the game did well, though, was with the AI itself. Whatever they're set to do, whether it be the more offensive character or the one that's a little bit more defensive, they're doing that at all times. There was once or twice where my AI kind of got stuck and just stood there for a while until it ended up getting taken out by enemies, and then finally started moving again. But for the most part, the AI for those characters, as well as the drones when you're commanding them, as you get a few options using the D-pad to either go all-out offensive, pull back, stand still, or protect the mini bases. Either way, the AI seems to work 9 times out of 10. While the game story is nothing to write home about, you do get mission briefings before each of the missions, which are told in an FMV style with real actors. I guess they were kind of maybe going for a little bit of a Command and Conquer kind of feel with this thing, though interestingly enough, and I kind of applaud them for doing so, they actually use adult film actresses for the characters in the FMV sequences. From the technical side of things, the game actually ran fine, other than a couple of little minor hiccups, like I said with the AI messing up once. Overall, everything ran pretty good. Didn't crash on me either during the course of my gameplay. Planet 2000 is available for $9.99 on the PlayStation 4. It doesn't feature a full trophy list or platinum, but it does have a pretty easy 100%. Just completing the main campaign is all of the trophies in the game, so if you're willing to do that, you'll have 100% by the time you get done with everything. Planet 2000 is one of those games that if you can get into it at all, there is some strategy and some fun to be had, but you're pretty much doing the same thing on every single map for every single mission of the campaign, which does end up getting a bit boring the longer you end up playing. There is split-screen multiplayer for you to face off against a friend, as well as a scrimmage mode where you can set up yourself with AIs against the opponent and battle them on any map that you like, basically as kind of a practice mode. In the end, Planet 2000 doesn't do anything inherently wrong, but it's just really simplistic and a bit monotonous after just a few hours of gameplay overall. I think if you get into the versus mode, you could maybe have a little bit more fun with it, but even with that, for the $9.99 price tag, it's a little bit hard to recommend overall. With that said though, I'm going to be giving Planet 2000 a 4 out of 10. But anyway guys, that's going to wrap up this review. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.